If you have a spare hour, 30 quid, and can travel to London's West End, I urge you to get a ticket for My Sons Are Queer, but what can you do? No matter who you are, and do it quickly. This very limited run at the Garrick Theatre in London ends on the 6th of November. I say no matter who you are because, let's face it, it's likely the title will have made you decide whether or not this show is for you. And that decision may well be wrong, and may well be one you could regret. As a title, My Sons Are Queer, but what can you do, isn't that theatre audience friendly. For a start, it's way too long. Little known fact, only 6 of the top 50 Broadway shows have more than 3 words in their title. And we abbreviate those 6 to give us Phantom of the Opera, La Cage, or Val, and Fiddler on the Roof. That aside, more importantly, the title is clearly polarising. The wordiness will attract a specific, possibly marginalised audience, the explicit reference to queerness, the implicit nod to theatricality. If the title rings bells you're not quite sure where they're from, listen to Les Miserables. It echoes a line from Beggars at the Feast, sung by the villains of Thénardiers, just before the finale.
Here comes a prince, there goes a Jew. This one's a queer, but what can you do?
The line has since been replaced, but that's by the by. Such specificity is understandable when the source material is autobiographical, as it is here, but it comes at a cost of possibly alienating a wider audience. The son of My Sons Are Queer is writer and performer Rob Madge. As we are accidentally reminded at one point, Madge has played Les Mis Gavroche in the 25th anniversary tour and Michael Banks in West End's Mary Poppins. It is their memory of childhood joy and how the structures of grown-up society try to take that joy away. Interspersing fantasy with home movie footage, school report cards with show-stopping belters, the show feels both extravagant and intimate. Key to this is Madge's performance, which can sway from precocious to personal in an instant. It has a conversational charm that has you nestling in the comfort of Rob's palm. For those who label themselves queer, or friends of, there are many relatable memories. Same-sex childhood crushes, an innate shyness, not being able to fit in, a desire to show off and be the centre of attention. And there's plenty more theatrical in-jokes for those who are performing currently in the West End's various ensemble. Most of these are just on the right side of mainstream, such as when 7 the number is defined as Henry VIII's 6 wives, plus a swing. Some, like a rehearsal timetable drawn up to include a sitz probe, are clearly local jokes for local people. You don't need to be out and proud to be moved by the stories of a loving family. You don't need to watch the chorus line millions of times to enjoy the step, step, step before change of the odd dance routine. You don't need to listen to Elaine Page on Sunday every week to be roused by the key changes in songs that sound like first act showstoppers. Oh, do shut up, Elaine. Clips of the Madge family home movies are played on a large TV screen that dominates the everyday living room set. Never showy or elaborate, their normality is what makes this show so relatable to anybody. At times it's very funny, at times it's very moving. To use a cliche, you will literally be laughing one minute and then you notice you're choking back a tear the next. We see Rob as a child, demanding screen time whilst producing extravagant pieces of living room theatre for the whole family to, let's say, enjoy. We see his pub-loving rugby fan dad, constantly berated by Rob for missing cues or fluffing lines. The dad is the fully complicit victim of Rob's perfection-driven bullying. Ordered to stay out of sight as he manoeuvres the harness that makes Rob's Tinkerbell fly, you could say Dad is the literal wind beneath his son's wings. We also see Granny Grimble, Granny having been taken in equity already. When Rob is confused, it's Granny has the solution. At one point, school reports that we see warn that Rob's predilection for the imaginative play area would limit their ability to make friends. In response, we see the theatre, the whole family together spent months making for them so their world can flourish. This is not an extraordinary family doing extraordinary things. The story is not told as a struggle through childhood where every day brought with it a new battle, though I'm sure if you dug beneath the surface that would be the case. This is really about extraordinary ordinariness. It reminds us that the things that give your child enjoyment should be encouraged, no matter what they are. All you need to do is normalise the unusual. In the opening lines, Rob tells us this show is unashamedly queer. It's for every little boy who would rather put on a wig and a dress than don a pair of football boots. And it's for every little girl who lends their brother their makeup in order that they can wear his football boots. And it's for parents of all these children. And it's also for more than people than that. And anyone who excludes themselves from seeing this just because they don't fit into that group is missing out on a truly wonderful, life-affirming piece of theatre. Towards the end of the show, there appears to be a recent edit to the script, barely noticeable. It implies that the title of the show may be changing for its next outing from My Son's a Queer to My Child's a Queer. Losing the gender specificity makes sense for a show that makes a strong argument against such labels. But there would be merit in going one step further, simply calling it My Child. It gets to what I see as the show's true heart, remembering the importance of individuality. Now, sure, that individuality may well happen to be born of queerness, one defining as non-binary, and it could be a sign of theatricality, but importantly, it may not be a sign of any of these things. After all, isn't individuality, by its very definition, individual? And this goes back to my point at the beginning. This isn't just a queer show about being queer for people who already embrace queerness. Sorry, Rob, I disagree. This is a show for people who want to embrace life, and that's why you should see it.